Hello everyone, my name is Chris, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about Toyota, its manufacturing process, how it builds and maintains relationships with suppliers, and how this all leads to a competitive advantage with its customers. Traditionally, auto manufacturers produce products comprised of very little variation and in very large quantities. By doing this, companies are able to efficiently take advantage of their fixed costs through economies of scale. This strategy, however, does have its drawbacks. U.S. auto manufacturers using this manufacturing style had to worry about paying for additional warehouse rent that was necessary to house their oversupply of inventory, as well as staffing and labor issues associated with segmented employees. Further, because parts were produced in mass quantities by employees who only specialize in one task of the production process, defects can become a company-wide issue rather than an isolated incident. Toyota's revolutionary mass production system differentiated itself from its peers and created a competitive advantage for the company. Unlike its American competitors, Toyota's auto parts were produced in relatively smaller sets in order to reduce inventory costs. The company's updated manufacturing model also successfully reduced stamping time from days to minutes, which increased the efficiency and further decreased manufacturing overhead. This also enabled Toyota to focus on consumers' ever-evolving preferences when it comes to buying a car. In addition to a reduction in costs, the smaller production quantities enabled Toyota to expand its product offering. This differentiation led to another competitive advantage with customers, which will be expanded upon later in this analysis. The company's labor philosophy also changed with the new manufacturing model. Workers were now prompted to work together in groups rather than be responsible for one specific function in the car's production. This led to better problem-solving results as manufacturing issues were sought out by the team rather than one worker. In addition, this led to a reduction in expenses. Workers in this production system are happier and show increased productivity, even more so than workers on an assembly line, because they are not executing the same mundane task all day. Further, these individuals learned additional skills which led to their intangible development. Workers as a result produced better quality products in an overall lower cost environment. In addition to the manufacturing process, Toyota also had a different approach when compared to its U.S. competitors in terms of supplier relationships. Traditionally, U.S. automotive manufacturers had impersonal relationships with suppliers that often consisted of the supplier drawing up design plans and then the auto manufacturer releasing all of those plans to its network of suppliers. After that, it would have all of the suppliers bid on those plans and choose the lowest cost option for its supply contracts. Conversely, Toyota fosters partner relationships with its suppliers, who are given implicit guarantees on future business. In exchange, suppliers make Toyota-specific investments in their business in order to improve the relationship and improve business results. Although these relationships are costly and take a lot of capital up front to set up and maintain, they usually lead to a successful business arrangement. Toyota's style of supplier relationship management enabled the company to share more information with its suppliers, which leads to better coordination between firms and investment in relationship-specific assets, which eventually will lead to lower costs, higher quality, and faster production time. Toyota's close relationship with its suppliers is indicative of how the company manages its customer relationships. Toyota's manufacturing flexibility enables it to create a distinct competitive advantage for its customers. Toyota is able to seek consumer data, figure out what they are looking for in an automotive vehicle, gather all of this information, and analyze it. The small production runs and close relationships with suppliers enable Toyota to act on consumer preferences and maximize sales. Toyota's competitive advantage stems from its manufacturing process, supplier relationships, and customer relationships. Success in these areas has led to high-quality products produced in a timely manner at very low costs. Toyota's success can be imitated by other U.S. auto manufacturers, but that have been stubborn and stuck to their traditional approaches to manufacturing and supplier relationships. American auto manufacturers created their own supplier circles, but never changed the way they interacted with these suppliers. American companies continue to argue with suppliers about production methods and best practices, and as the world welcomed in the early 2000s, automotive companies began to source parts from cheaper Chinese firms. Rather than continue to foster long-term relationships that could lead to an immense amount of shareholder value in the long run, American auto manufacturers decided to implement short-term vision strategies. Although Toyota has created a framework for dealing with suppliers and utilizing employees efficiently, U.S. automotive manufacturers have not successfully implemented these strategies. Toyota's U.S. competitor relationships with suppliers are arguably worse than before they attempted to implement the Japanese partnership model. This is evidenced in the fact that Ford currently uses online reverse auctions, putting suppliers in aggressive competition with each other. Another industry leader, General Motors, writes its contracts in a manner that allows it to shift to a less expensive supplier almost immediately and almost without notice. Some critics of Toyota's strategy say that it could not be replicated outside of the US. However, Toyota and Honda have been able to create the same supplier web structures in North America that they do in Japan. More impressive is the fact that these companies have created supplier webs with the same suppliers that hate doing business with the major United States automotive manufacturers. These supply webs have led to faster production times with higher quality vehicles, which can be seen in the fact that these companies have much fewer recalls than their United States automotive competitors. Going forward, Toyota should be able to continue to sustain its competitive advantage. Over the past few decades, the company has been able to continue to grow and emerge as an industry leader worldwide. From 2008 to 2016, Toyota was the world's largest automaker, passing General Motors during the financial crisis. Despite the emission scandal, Volkswagen recently surpassed Toyota in 2016 as the largest auto manufacturer in the world. Despite losing the title, Toyota's production processes and overall strategy remain the envy of the auto industry. Technology and emerging markets continue to shape the world, including the automotive industry. Toyota should focus its efforts on a few main initiatives going forward. Toyota should continue to develop driverless and alternative fuel vehicles. General Motors recently announced an entire lineup of electric vehicles, and Toyota needs to make sure it does not get beat in delivering these types of offerings to consumers. Secondly, Toyota should re-establish its lead in the Chinese marketplace. This geographic region was one of Volkswagen's most successful areas in 2016, and Toyota should take steps to become the dominant brand in that region. Lastly, Toyota should look to embed itself in key emerging markets. For example, with women now beginning to be allowed to drive in the Middle East and the ongoing modernization of India's economy, Toyota should strive to become the auto brand of choice in these areas.